Have you ever felt let down by a friend? It probably led you to ask some deep questions like, what is friendship? For that matter, what's a friend? Today I'm going to weigh in on one of the most brilliant thinkers of the Renaissance, and therefore one of the most brilliant thinkers in history, what he said about those questions. I'll offer 3 ideas about friends and friendship that you can take away, and an inspiring bonus thought at the end. Hi, I'm Liam. I'm a shed-working retired history professor who loves history, its people, and ideas. One of the great achievements of Desiderius Erasmus, who lived from 1466 to 1536, was his great work, The Adages, a remarkable attempt to collect all the proverbs and ancient Greek Roman culture that were known up until that time. In my work as an historian, I have opened his book again and again and marveled at his scholarship and erudition. Here's the first man to make his living by writing printed books. One proverb in particular has always stood out as among the most memorable to me, and it's first in his collection. Friends have all things in common. This is a proverb of Pythagoras that Plato quotes. Whatever the Greek philosophers meant by this is not as important as what Erasmus made out of it with regard to his own cultural situation. It was what Erasmus thought it meant and how he used it that influenced, well, even my philosophy of life in a way that has brought both the joy of simplicity and some ridicule. First of all, Erasmus said, friendship is a real foundation of living well. As a Renaissance humanist, Erasmus was dedicated to convincing 16th century rulers to adopt a philosophy of Christ that considered warfare, the traditional medieval solution to solving problems between countries, to be irrational. Erasmus says that if these bellicose princes were motivated by enlightened friendship, they would want to share their wisdom with anyone who might benefit from it. Friendship, as Plato inferred, is the real basis of satisfying community. Wisdom is its bread. What a contrast to the unenlightened ruler who constantly flexes his military muscles, perhaps dreaming of empire and glory, but who dies without a true friend in the world. The most precious gifts of life should be offered freely, he says, rather than withheld out of revenge, mistrust, or greed. Be a friend to have a friend. But what is a friend? Number 2, to Erasmus, a friend is someone who is ready to offer what he has for another. I've believed for years that Erasmus was onto something here, but the prevailing view of those around me, even friends and family, is that this philosophy is naive at best. Something like Erasmus' ideal was termed availability by French philosopher Gabriel Marcel. The latter meant by this a readiness to offer the good things that I have for others at a moment's notice based on a just demand of their claims upon me. Like the apostles Peter and John in the New Testament. I may not have silver and gold, but what I have is available to the one who has a need. One might object, hey Liam, isn't that a dangerous proposition? Won't someone take advantage of you and leave you with nothing? Of course, there is a risk to living with an open hand, and others have indeed taken advantage of me. My research and conclusions were stolen and published once. My car was once vandalized in Europe by neighbors that my friends trusted, and damage was done to my reputation by someone to whom I had made a liberal loan, which was never repaid. But most of the time, I have made friends by means of whatever assets I had, particularly money. Now, I didn't buy friends. I don't mean that. I used money for the sake of friendship. A cup of coffee at a morning meeting. Clever birthday card to delight someone. An invitation to dinner. Jesus spoke of just this sort of thing when he said, "Make friends for yourselves by means of the mammon of unrighteousness, that when it fails, they may welcome you into the eternal dwellings." Third, Erasmus says, I can be a friend even to fickle associates because there is a greater friend. Erasmus' idea of friendship is not as profoundly absurd as you might think. It can be both enjoyable and a relief. I often tip servers above the prevailing rate, and I most enjoy it when I'm able to reach hilarious levels. I lend my books, dishes, and tools without continually dwelling on the date of their return. At one point in the past, I got rid of my watch forever so I could be less concerned about the time I spend with people and leisurely enjoy their company. My life on the internet, it's an open book. On the internet, I invite a wide swath of humanity to ask me questions, read what little wisdom I have, and copy and paste whatever they find useful. I do this, as Erasmus suggests, for the sake of friendship. It's not because I trust my would-be friends, but because I trust in divine justice and eternal advocacy. You see, I own nothing. It all belongs to God. Erasmus was not arguing against private property. He was simply offering a sketch of the conscience of a fool. It behooves us to get to know the greater friend who never leaves us or fails us. Now, I promised a bonus idea today, too. Here's the bonus idea from Erasmus. Our friendship outlives us as we participate in creative acts. Erasmus was also saying the wisdom of the Greeks and Romans embodied in their proverbs was public domain, a wealth shared by all. We're able to share this because the people of the past, who passed on their traditions, are friendly toward us, having given us the best of what they had, wisdom to live well. We too build wealth by offering the riches of our creative process. Erasmus was encouraged by a network of scholars who thought, wrote, and debated ideas. We have many more creative possibilities today, but the idea is the same. Friends have all things in common. What a surprise to discover that living well is not a matter of how much I accumulate, but how lightly I hold even what little I possess. So write those blogs and memoirs, record podcasts, make videos, write books, fill up your Zettelkasten and bring forth your good gifts to benefit others. Even if you only get a few views on your YouTube, you can still be a friend and influence the world. Well, thank you for joining me today. Here is the usual spiel. Be a friend and like this video. I think Erasmus would think it was an especially good idea to comment and, of course, subscribe to keep the conversations going.